Alright. PlayStation, Xbox, MacBooks or PCs, iPads, retro consoles, PlayStation 2, but still, and niche markets like the Atari VCS, and I guess the Ouya, but this one is, well, it's a niche market. Big markets like the Switch, Nintendo Switch, and of course, how could I forget Android mobile phones? So you might be wondering what this is all about. Actually, let me just come up here and get close and personal. When I release a game, I try to release it on as many platforms as possible. But there's always, I don't release on them all at once. So there's always that one person, and I've sent that person to this specific video. So I know you're now watching this. Hi, sorry for not answering straight, but this video will explain a lot more than I can tell you in a chat or whatever. So when I release a new game on a platform, I do it at different intervals, so not all platforms at once. And your question is, why is my game not available on your favorite platform? Or why do you have to wait for it to appear in like a couple of weeks or months? There's a very good reason for that, and it's very hard to explain, and you as a gamer might not like it, but for me as a game developer, it's pretty important to do it like this. So that's why in this video I'll explain my whole thought process on all of that. And for other developers, keep these things in mind when you're releasing games on different platforms. Now I first have to clean up all this stuff. So intro. So the first and possibly a very big reason on releasing, for example, PC and console before mobile is price point and marketplace and all that. A game is worth a certain amount. On PC, I might sell games between $8.99 and $14 or $15.99 or sometimes even $20. That's an actual value based on the size of the game, the amount of time that went into it, the investment and all that. And that's what games are worth. And sometimes there will be a game for $5.99 or $4.99 because it's a smaller game and I feel like that's a better price for it. The problem, however, on mobile, the maximum amount you can ask for a premium game between $4 and $6. And that just doesn't compare to the price it has on PC. If I release the game today on PC for $12.99, but also have the mobile version released today for $4.99, it's very hard to explain that difference to gamers. And of course, and obviously PC gamers would be pissed off paying a lot more money for that same game that's on mobile. Still, you're not paying more, but you're paying the actual price, and mobile is paying less. That's very hard to explain, but there's a huge difference in that. It's just the market on mobile has gone to freemium and free games and all that stuff, and you could make free games on mobile or release it for free on mobile, but there's an even bigger difference with the PC version. My type of games are premium, which means they are paid for. It's very hard market on mobile. It's very hard to sell games on mobile at this point because there's so much freemium, amazing, good-looking games with a lot of marketing and big budget behind it. But that's pretty much the main reason that I'm releasing on PC first and then consoles, and later, much later, maybe a year later, the game is coming to mobile. It's just the marketplace and how it all works, and as a developer there's not much I can do about that. I just simply cannot release the same game on two different platforms with such a difference in price. So that's the reason that mobile usually comes later. But why are we doing PC and console first, and which one do we do first, PC or console? There's a good answer for that as well. Now it is possible to release your game on both PC and consoles, or maybe just one of the consoles, all at the same time. We did that for Residual, releasing it on PC and Switch. Wasn't my choice, to be honest, because well, the publisher thought we should do that, but anyway, that happened. However, personally, I prefer to just first launch on the PC. The reason is very simple and very kind of obvious to anybody who did console development. If you want to do an update or changes or improvements or new content on PC, I could type in all that stuff now, create it right now, push a button, and it will be in your hands by the end of the day. Actually, at the moment I push the button, it will be in your hands and on your PC, and you will be able to play these changes. If I need to do some bug fixing or other patches or problem hunting or whatever, on the console it will take up to a few months, worst case scenario. It can be done a little bit faster here and there, but usually a month, maybe 2 months before it's released into the hands of players. That's not very fast. So anything that players would run into and that would be a problem or annoying thing or a bug, they would have to be waiting for 2 months for the fix. Not because it takes me a lot of time to fix it. I might have a fix in like 5 minutes. Might be very simple, very tiny thing, very easy to fix. It will still take 2 months to reach the console gamer. So I prefer to launch on PC, make sure all the bugs and problems are out of the game. It's all user-friendly based on feedback from the gamers and everything. And then we have a perfect version. And then that version will be used for the console release. Now, I hear you say that surely we can release on all the consoles at once. And honestly, I have no idea who Shirley is. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure Shirley does not want to do that. If you're a big team and you have someone dedicated to doing those things, go for it. But if you're a small team or like me, a solo developer, releasing on all the consoles at once is a lot of planning and scheduling required. To get your game approved to release on consoles, you have to jump through some hoops. Lot checking at Nintendo, certification thingy on Xbox and PlayStation, and getting through that in one go is very unlikely. So you'll have to make sure there's an extra couple of weeks or months to make sure that you get them all certified and ready to go. And then you have to schedule all those releases on their stores and shops, and trust me, it's a lot of work. And even if you do that, even if you manage to do all that scheduling and launch on one day, as soon as players start playing your game on all these systems, they will be coming to you or at you or for you or lynching you. If they run into things or problems or issues or they don't like it, they're gonna be leaving messages, they're gonna mail you, they're gonna be on your Discord, they're gonna be pretty much everywhere that you are online. There will be people talking about why their game isn't working or how should I do this or can you explain that and that. And then first you'll have to ask on which platform are you playing it, which device, and all those messages all at once might be very much, especially if your game is getting good sale numbers. Then there are a lot of players. That means a lot of people want to talk to you. Also, the upside of not releasing on all the consoles at once, if you release one by one, you can actually send out press releases and possibly get more coverage out of it, because every new platform might mention it and then people might notice, oh, this is a cool game coming to Xbox. Wait a minute, it's also on Switch. I'm gonna buy it on Switch because I'm a Switch gamer. Never heard of it before, but now I see it on the Xbox and it's on the Switch. There's just more there to hopefully profit from press releases and all that attention. At least with a little bit of luck. So we now already decided PC first, iron out all the problems, issues, bugs and things, and then we start releasing on console. That leaves us with the one platform that I mentioned before, mobile. And mobile is split up in pretty much two things. Apple on one hand, Google on the other, and they don't like each other. So there's a couple of reasons why I'm launching on one first and the other second. Let me explain that one. The thing here is Apple has a very good or big editorial team. Like literally humans going through all the games and the apps and then featuring certain games and apps that are interesting and all that stuff. So there are humans involved there that might actually like your game and then feature it here and there on the App Store. It's very unlikely that it happens, but every now and then it happens. The only thing, and this might have been a myth or a rumor or early days Apple, and not anymore, but in the early days or in the myth, Apple would probably, possibly, most likely not feature your game if it was also launched on Android at the same time or during the same week. It might just be a myth, it might just not be true at all, or if your game is like really big and really important and interesting, it probably doesn't matter. But if you're a smaller game that are still interesting for them to feature, but it's also on Android, the myth says, the legend says, it would never get that feature. So for me, even though getting a feature is, the chances of that are very slim, I'm still releasing on iOS first, give it a couple of weeks up to a couple of months. If nothing happens, the game launches on Android. I'm an Android user myself, I have an Android phone, I only have an iPad to test my games on. I would love to see my games on Android, always, but I also love to make a little bit of money on my games. So I pretty much release on iOS first in the hopes that Apple will feature my game. So having said all this, we launched on PC first, then consoles, then iOS, and I went through all of that with Residual. We released on PC, but also on Switch at the same time. Like I said, wasn't my decision, wasn't my preference, but that's what we did. And now a year later, I launched it on iOS, and now a couple of months later, it's coming to Android. However, this mail got in my mailbox a week ago, and the title, the subject is, "Your app Residual might be featured on the App Store." This was a week ago. I had to submit a couple of assets, but this is pretty much what I was hoping for and why the game was on iOS but not yet on Android. I got this in the mail. This is a good sign. This is step one, but we're not there just yet. So that is step one. This means that someone at Apple saw the game. I did mail their editorial team before I launched the game a few weeks before. Someone saw the game, someone picked it up. Now there's a whole process here. First I have to create assets. That's just a cool banner that's shown on the App Store page, and I created that one. They open up an extra part on the developer backend, and there you can upload these promotional assets. You can upload multiple assets that they didn't really ask for, and I did that because this feature would be for the Games tab, but I also want on the Today's Game page, which is pretty much the front page of the App Store. So I uploaded assets for that as well. Now the problem here is that this is step one, and now the next editorial team or whoever actually writes for the App Store pages and all that can still decide on picking another game. They might pick this game, they might pick it next week, they might pick it next month, they might pick it within the next 6 months. I have no idea. The other thing is, it might also just be the editorial team of, I don't know, Vietnam or Thailand or whatever, and I prefer to be on the US store because that's just a lot more interesting for me as a developer and getting players to buy it. Or the European store is also good, and of course preferably just in every country there is, but there's editorial teams all over. So the only thing I'm now certain of is that at least somebody noticed the game and they are considering it to be featured, and we'll have to wait for that to see if they actually will feature it. I'm just not sure yet if I'm going to release on Android before that feature happens or wait for that feature to happen and so delay the Android version a little bit more. That's just going to be a hard decision that I have to think about first. Let me know in the comments what you think. Should I be waiting for the Apple feature, or should I just risk it and release on Android anyway? I'm pretty sure if you're an Android gamer, you'll say release it anyway. I'm just not sure yet. So anyway, all this complicated business stuff pretty much decides and dictates how you can release games on and how you prefer to release games and all that stuff, and hope for the best outcome on all the platforms at once. Now, to wrap up the video, besides these bigger consoles and platforms, there is also a niche market of various different gadgets like the Atari VCS, the iArcade, which is an Android-based device, and a lot more. These devices don't really matter so much when you release on them. It's pretty much whenever you can go for it. It's usually a very tiny niche market, and players that own these devices will probably buy your game anyway, even if they played it on another platform, because niche devices like this don't get a lot of game releases. So every game is pretty much a bonus for these owners of these devices, and it doesn't really interfere with the business on all the other platforms, because Nintendo honestly doesn't give it anything about Atari or the iArcade, and Google and Apple don't care about the iArcade, even though it's an Android-based device. They don't really care what's happening on there. They also know it's tiny. It's not a player. It's not part of the market. It's just niche. It's extra special. It's there. So if you can release on those devices, go for it whenever you can. They won't interfere with business anyway, and they only can add to your business. So that's a pretty cool thing to do. And that's it for this week's video, because I covered all the major platforms and things. And if you have any questions left on why a certain game is not being launched on your platform or device or whatever, if I haven't covered it in this video, then drop a comment below or talk to me and give me your question, and I will answer it. And if you're a developer about to launch on all these platforms, good luck, and hope you'll have great success on either all of them or some of them. And I will see you next week in another video, and we'll talk about other cool businessy stuff. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below, drop on the Discord, all those things. See you later. I can't reach the camera, so we're gonna fade out.